Let me see if I can show you how flaky these are. See, that looks like a really well done biscuit. Well, good morning. My name is Scott and welcome to my minivan home here. I am parked up near some redwoods. I came up here to make some breakfast, but my breakfast was a little bit thin. I didn't have any bread to go with it, and rather than go hungry, I thought, why don't I make something to kind of bulk out my breakfast? I think I'm gonna bake some biscuits right here in my minivan. Now, I don't have an oven here in my van, but what I do have is a nice little camp stove that I'm using for all of my cooking, and we're actually going to use this to bake our biscuits. And how I'm able to do that is I have a really easy biscuit recipe. In fact, that's what I've named it. I've named it Kenji's Easy Biscuits. Now, Kenji is a YouTuber and restaurateur and cookbook author, and that's where I got this recipe from. His name is Kenji Lopez, if you're interested. He's obviously a very talented chef and author, and so I figured his recipe would be one that I could trust. So that's what I am using here. So I just need a few things to make biscuits, and these are going to be a little bit like buttermilk biscuits, although I'm not going to use buttermilk. I am going to use some heavy cream. Now, you might notice that I have this recipe listed out as gram measurements, although I do have the cup measurements there beside it. So you can use either that you want, but I always weigh all of my ingredients out, and I'm going to do that with a scale. So this is a kitchen scale. More precisely, this is a coffee scale, but it's going to work as a kitchen scale for us here today. Now, this is a very easy recipe, but even so, my feeble little brain cannot remember these ingredients. So I'm just going to clip this up here and set it up so that I have reference to it. And now I just need to get together my things, the ingredients and the things I'm going to use to bake it. And for that, I'm going to use this heavyweight enamel on cast iron pan that I have. And this recipe comes together so quickly that I usually start with this first. I'm going to set this up, get my stove on, and get this heated up. I'm going to need another pan as well as a lid for this, and that's going to create the little oven effect. So I'll get this turned on, got my gas turned on here, and I'm going to turn this on to its lowest, it's just bare lowest setting that I can get the stove set at. I'll get that going while I get my second pan out from my bin here. Okay, so this is the oven set up. I'm going to let this sit on the low heat and let it slowly come up to temperature. The great thing about these really heavy-duty cast iron pans, and it doesn't matter if it's enamel like mine is or just a regular cast iron pan, but they really soak up a lot of heat. So this is going to create that oven effect along with this other pan. This is a carbon steel pan, another very heavy pan and very similar to cast iron. So this I found makes the best kind of makeshift oven because I don't have another oven in my van. This is all I really need. And now we're going to get to making the biscuits. I've already cleaned off my countertop here. I'm kind of lucky that I have a stainless steel countertop. We'll be sort of rolling these biscuits out a little bit, although I didn't even bother getting my rolling pin out because we're not even going to need them for this recipe. This recipe is really that easy that you don't really even need very many tools. But the tools that we do need are, of course, our scale, if you're going to use a scale. And I think the scale just makes this a whole lot easier. So I'll get my scale out, turn it on. I've got my bowl that we're going to mix up the biscuit dough in. I've got that on, and then I'll tear out the weight. So I'll start with 0. I just need a few things. Let's see, 150 grams of flour. We need 5 grams of baking powder. And then to measure out the heavy cream, I have this little metric wonder cup. I really like this thing. It's great for van life because it's got all these graduated measurements on it, and it is very compact. The trouble with mine is it's getting a little old. I've actually had this long before I started living in a van. It's been around for years, so it's getting a little bit hard to see, but let me get that set. We'll need 2/3? Yeah, 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream. And don't forget the salt. Hopefully I won't forget the salt. And just to make this easy, I'm just going to spoon in the flour. And this is just all-purpose flour. You can use whatever flour you want for this, but I always use white flour because I think it just makes the most authentic buttermilk style biscuits. Although I should just call these cream biscuits because that's what they are. Although they're going to look a whole lot like buttermilk biscuits. I'm going to try to get as close as I can to 150 grams. If I'm over a little bit, that's all right. I think that's close enough for me. And then the baking powder, I'm going to do the same. And just add this in. I'm already making a mess. Just add this in with the spoon itself. Now, obviously, you can do, well, I just messed up. I forgot to tear out the scale. So now I have to do math to try to figure out how much more baking powder I need to add. I think it's 4 grams. That's what we're going to go with. If I add too much baking powder, these things get unruly. They just puff up too much. So I don't want to go over on the baking powder. So that was a stupid mistake. 1, because I want these to turn out. And 2, because I had to do math just now in my head. Try to avoid doing that as much as possible. Anyway, let's see. So I've got this cleared out. Just going to finish off with the salt. Just need 3 grams of that. And this is why I do it like this. This is why I weigh this all out, just because I think it's faster doing it this way. Now, one of these days I should weigh out the heavy cream so that I can just pour it directly into the bowl. But I haven't thought to do that yet, so we'll just use my little Wonder Cup here. And let's see, before I dump this in, I'm just going to stir this, stir the ingredients in the bowl around. I just want to make sure that the salt and the baking powder are well distributed through the flour. And once I've got that done, I can just make a little well in the flour here and dump in the heavy cream all at once. And then we're just going to mix this all together. Now, the great thing about this recipe is you don't need to add any other butter or fats or anything. It's just using the fat that is in the heavy whipping cream. And actually, I should just get rid of my scale because I don't need that anymore, do I? I'll just set that aside. Now, I try to get this started right in the bowl and do as much mixing as I can. And I also have left out the flour just in case I might need a little bit more flour. I try to make this, set this up so that it's a little bit too wet maybe in the bowl, and then if I need to add some flour, I can add some flour. But generally when I measure the ingredients out by weights, I find that it comes out pretty close. So once this is kind of mostly together, I'm just going to dump this out right on the countertop here. It's like I was saying before, lucky to have this stainless steel countertop because it just makes it easy to work dough like this. I really like this. It just makes it quite simple. So let me just get as much of this out of the bowl as I can. I'm being fastidious, I know, but I just want all of this out so that the recipe is somewhat precise. And then now I'm just going to work this little bit of dough together, and I'm just going to kind of fold it over onto itself. One of the other great things about this recipe is that because it uses so much liquid to flour, these are equal measurements of heavy cream to flour. That means that it's very difficult to get gluten to form in this. So you could really work this and not have an issue with overworking this like you can with regular buttermilk biscuit dough. So this is just about 45 seconds of kneading this dough together, and you see it's all nicely combined. And now what I'm going to do, which was not in the original recipe from Kenji Lopez, but one thing that I find that I like to do is I just flatten this out. And this is where maybe having a rolling pin might be a little bit easier at this point, but like I said, we're not really going to need this. But I'm just going to flatten this out and then fold it over on itself. And I'm just going to do that a few times. This is going to create some layers, and so once we get to baking these will puff right up, just like regular buttermilk biscuits puff right up. The one problem I've had with this is if I do too many layers, do too many folds, I find that they puff up more than my little makeshift oven can manage. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. You want it to be nice and flaky and fluffy, but there's a point where you can kind of overdo it. At least I can with my setup here. Now, if you've got a regular oven, maybe if you live in a house or something, if you're, one of those types of people, you could just do these really as many folds as you want, and they'll just be extra flaky the more folds you put into this. So I'm just going to flatten this out. And this is the time where if these start to feel a little bit too sticky, I can just take a little bit more of my flour and dust it over the top. Not something I like to do. I try to keep these as kind of a little more on the wet side. So those look pretty good to me. So I'm just going to take a knife. I've got a sharp serrated knife here, and I'm just going to make some cuts on this. Now, I'm not making these cuts in any real specific way. I'm just cutting this off so that I have some nice sharp edges for where we folded the dough over. If I've got a sharp edge, then that means that the dough will rise a little bit better once we put it into the oven. So we'll just cut off all the loose ends, and then I'll just make two kind of rectangular biscuits out of that one. And then with the leftover here, I'll just re-roll these and pat them out again, and then cut them the same as I did on the last one. Or I could just do these just as that. I could just toss it in the oven just this way. This would be more like a drop biscuit. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I've got two rectangular biscuits, one little square biscuit, and then the one drop biscuit. So now I'm just going to go into our oven here. Let me take the top off, set this aside. Now this thing is really hot, so I got to be very careful with it. But I'm just going to set these right in the pan, and I don't need to grease the pan. I don't need to do anything other than just put these in. There's plenty of butter in that heavy whipping cream that's in the recipe itself, so we don't need to add anything extra to it. So this is all good to go. Just make sure my flame is at the lowest I can get it, and then we'll put the top back on here. My stove is making a funny noise because I have it set so low. Don't mind that. It just sounds like I have a bird stuck in the van here. I don't. It's just the stove. You can trust me. So this is just going to take a few minutes on each side. We will have to go in and flip them over just to make sure that they bake all the way through. That's the one difference with baking in this method versus baking them in an oven. If you bake them in an oven, you don't have to flip them over. But because we're just working with what we've got here, I do find that it gets a little bit more heat from the bottom. So I just want to keep in mind that I want to keep the top on this for as long as possible. I'm not going to check these for at least 5 minutes, but they'll probably take about 8 minutes aside. So probably cook them for about 8 minutes on one side, then we'll flip them over on the other. And in the meantime, I can start cleaning up because I've got flour everywhere, including all over my pants. This is the one time we're wearing black. It's probably not advisable, is it? Well, I should have set a timer, but I think this has been about 8 minutes, so let's take a look at these. They're looking pretty good. Let's see what the bottoms look like. So they're pretty close. I'm going to give these another couple of minutes. You see they're getting nicely browned, and you see how much they're puffing up. That's because we took the time to do the layers. And actually, I shouldn't talk so much. I should get this top back on so that we have our oven going again. So just another couple of minutes, then we'll flip them over. Okay, let's check on these. We might be able to flip these over. They're looking pretty good. I usually do this by hand, but obviously if you haven't worked in a restaurant like I have for years, you might want to use some tongs or something. Those look pretty good. Now these are so fluffy that the first time I did this where I folded them over and got this really good rise out of them, I noticed that it was very difficult to get these big ones to cook all the way through. So I may have to actually flip these over a couple of times, but we'll let these go for another probably it's going to be 8 to 10 minutes, I would say, on this side. That noise that my stove is making is really funny. It really does sound like there's a bird that's stuck in here. Of course, now we've got a dog barking in the background, so got lots of noise going on at the moment. Hey, I've still got coffee left to drink. I do need to fess up to something here. I know I said that I very rarely eat out, and that is true. I just want to point out that I do occasionally eat out someplace. Although I have a hard time finding places that I can eat out at. I've got a lot of food allergies, I guess is the easiest way to put that. So there are some places that I can eat out at, like here in Eureka, we have a food co-op that has a food bar that can usually find something that I can eat. Not always, but usually I can find something. And I have a buddy that was traveling, another van lifer that was in town here, and he found out that in the mornings the co-op sells biscuits and gravy. And that is what got me thinking about these biscuits that I had taught myself to make several months back, and then I just kind of forgot about them. It's just not something that I eat a whole lot anymore. I try to only ever eat sourdough, and so this is kind of really not on my list of things that I'm going to eat on a daily or weekly basis even. It hasn't even really been a monthly basis. As I said, I kind of forgot about these, but I did buy that big bag of flour, which was not terribly cheap, although I got it on sale. I think it was only about $4.50 for the bag, so not a terrible price, but I just got to thinking that I should probably start making my own biscuits and using up that flour. But before I could kind of get myself around to making some biscuits for myself, I did go into the food co-op and I bought some biscuits. I opted not to do the gravy just because of the food allergy thing. This is not meant as a dig on the food co-op. I really like them. They have some of my favorite sourdough bread that I can get in the area here. But I didn't really think that those buttermilk biscuits were all that great. In fact, I thought that they should taste a whole lot better than mine, being that they are buttermilk biscuits, and I'm not using buttermilk in mine, so mine don't have quite as much flavor to them. But mine, I think, taste a whole lot better, and mine have a whole lot better texture. Being that mine are more flaky, more flavorful, just got me thinking I should just start making some, start using up that flour. And today, since I needed a little extra bulk on my breakfast, worked out that today was the day that I'm gonna make some, I was gonna call them buttermilk biscuits again, cream biscuits. I'm making some more biscuits anyway for myself. I can't wait till these are done. Okay, it's been about 8 minutes. I don't think that they're done yet, but we'll check them. And I should just point out that this may seem like it's taking a long time and it's kind of fiddly, but if I were going to be making these, like if I were going to be making these for breakfast, this is really quick. This goes very, very quickly. Of course, you're waiting quite a little while for them to cook, at least 8 minutes aside, I guess. But, I'm taking this opportunity to talk to you. So I'm, just taking my time, enjoying my coffee, enjoying the redwoods out here. It's nice and cool out here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's nice and cool out. So I'm just enjoying this and enjoying chatting with you. So that's why this may look like it's taking a little bit longer, but there's not a whole lot of working time to make these. This is a pretty easy and quick biscuit recipe. Okay, So they are looking pretty good. I would say from the looks of them, this little one is going to be done. Maybe not as brown as I'd like on the bottom though. Maybe we'll let that go just another couple of minutes. Now this looks pretty good to me. I think I'm just going to flip this one over, try to even out the browning a little bit. And these bigger ones, maybe you can see what I was talking about there. Just because they're so big, oh, they are hot. Just because they are so thick, it is kind of difficult to get them to cook all the way through. So I think I'll just set these on their side. These bigger ones, I'll just set them on their side and then just give them a couple of minutes each side. Just a couple more minutes on the smaller ones. And we are almost ready. I just wish I didn't finish off my coffee because that would be really nice. Oh wait, I didn't finish off my coffee. I can enjoy my coffee for a little bit longer. I don't have much. I'm gonna have to sip it slowly. I've still got flour all over my pants. Oh well. I think these are gonna be done. In fact, I'm gonna just turn the stove off because I'm pretty sure they're gonna be done. Let me set this pan out of the way. And these are looking pretty good to me. Got some nice brown all the way around on these. Let's give these a try. Yeah, these have turned out really good. Let me see if I can show you how flaky these are. See, that looks like a really well done biscuit. And because these are made with heavy cream, they've already got plenty of butter in them. Don't really need to add any more, but of course I am going to add more butter because butter is one of those great things. So I've got a little bit of some grass-fed butter here, which I'll add to this and let this melt in. Just make that a little extra tasty. I'm happy. I'm very happy. So there we go. We don't need an oven to bake biscuits. You can just make do with what you've got. And there's all kinds of things that you can bake in this little kind of oven setup. Pizza is another one of those things that I make occasionally. That's one of those things I haven't made in quite a while, even longer than biscuits. So maybe pizza's on the menu soon. I'm going to sit back and enjoy these. Just to let you know, these do hold pretty well. They're probably best if you eat them within 2 or 3 hours of making them. But I do usually just wrap up half of them, put them away for my next meal. So a lot of times I'll make these at night, and then just so I have them ready to go for the morning, then I just reheat them really quickly on my stove, just a couple of minutes each side. So really versatile little recipe here. I probably shouldn't have been calling this my recipe. This is Kenji's recipe. So if you want to know the OG recipe, the real one, you should probably go check out Kenji Lopez. He's got a couple of different channels here on YouTube, which should turn right up if you search for Kenji Lopez. And then, of course, I will leave my ingredient list down in the description of this video in case you're wanting to make these yourself. You can either take a screenshot when I showed the recipe before, or you can go look in the description. So that's about it. I've got plenty to do today, so I'm going to hurry and eat these and take off. But thanks for hanging out with me today, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.